committee set up to resolve all outstanding SABL issues. Tribesmen of slain cops cut off Highlands Highway traffic. And 16 years on, remembering the Bougainville Peace Agreement.
This is National MTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Wednesday's news. The reports of previous Commission of Inquiry into the SABL scandals will be looked at following the establishment of a customary land advisory committee. Lands Minister Justin Tichenko announced the committee, saying the effort is to address and resolve all outstanding SABL issues.
The Customary Land Advisory Committee comprises of 7 individuals from government departments and agencies. Lands Minister Justin Tichenko made it clear that the committee's aim is to look at the previous Commission of Inquiries and how best individual SABLs can be resolved.
Our customary landowners have had a tough time with this situation, and we must ensure that their rights are upheld and they get true justice for getting their land back for the right purpose.
Minister Tichenko says about 175 different cases remain outstanding. He says a time frame of 3 months is targeted for a particular case, and the committee will be tasked to report the findings to the government and public.
Through the State Solicitor and the committee that have been set up to ensure that they have a time frame in place to rectify most of this, I would want to see by the end of this year. It's not going to be easy. There's a lot of issues to look at, and there's a lot of problems to look at.
In the past term of government, there has been considerable debate on SABLs. The government has remained optimistic to stop and terminate all SABL license issued. However, Minister Tichenko says some SABLs are genuine.
Those that are illegal and that have been done properly, not been done properly, will be all cancelled. Those that are genuine will continue.
Meanwhile, the Lands Minister says the inquiry into the controversial Manu Manu land deal is going through final stages and will be presented to NEC for deliberation. Jack Lapava Jr., National MTV News.
The Coronial Inquiry into the mysterious disappearance of 6 people in the waters of East New Britain in 2013 resumed today at the Kokopo District Court. 3 witnesses gave accounts relating to their disappearance, bringing the total number of witnesses to 42. The inquiry is focusing on collecting detailed information to help police close the 5-year-old case. The formal Coronial Inquiry started in May in Kokopo to look into the disappearance of 4 senior public servants and 2 boat crew members 5 years ago. The 6 men mysteriously went missing while returning to Kokopo from Pomio on a banana boat after a budget review meeting. Police have treated the case as a criminal matter after numerous unsuccessful search and rescue attempts. The National Highlands Highway has been cut off for 2 days as angry tribesmen of the 2 cops who were shot dead in Wabeg staged a roadblock. The tribesmen of late Jimmy Golang of Jiwaka and Alex Kopa of Chimbu have staged the roadblock to demand justice for the pair. They say this is their last resort after exhausting other possibilities, demanding 28 million kina from the state as compensation claim.
The roadblock will last for an indefinite period until the national government and Enga provincial government, including other authorities responsible, gives the families of the 2 cops a favorable response. So far, 8 highway trucks belonging to Post PNG, Trans Wonderland, Mapai and a few others are being locked away at the roadblock in Jiwaka province. There are 3 sets of roadblocks, 1 in Chimbu and 2 in Jiwaka.
In actual fact, right now we do not know when we will be receiving the bodies of our 2 young men. That is a matter for the police. But then now the issue has now been complicated by the lack of response from those who were responsible for their deaths and the setting up of this roadblock, which obviously is going to affect the time of the repatriation of the bodies.
The Jiwaka and Chimbu tribesmen of the 2 corps resorted to setting up roadblocks after receiving no response from the government on their demands. They demanded in their petitions 28 million kina in compensation for the murder of their sons. 10 million kina each from Enga Provincial Government, 2 million kina each from Electoral Commission, and 2 million kina each from the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. However, they say these demands are negotiable and can be reduced to a reasonable price if the government comes down and talks with them.
People like him only understand our position in that we've been led by the government to come to this action. This is our last resort, and the Highlands Highway will remain indefinitely closed.
The families are also blaming the police commissioner, saying 6 weeks have gone and Gary Bucky has been ignoring and avoid discussing this issue. They say those trucks which have been confiscated will not be vandalized or damaged, and the traveling public who will walk across the roadblock will not be attacked. They are blocking the road to get the state's attention. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
A key suspect wanted for the murder of senior pediatrician late Dr. Alphonse Rongap, who was killed in Lae last year, is now in police custody. He was apprehended early this morning along the back road area during a raid conducted by members of the Lae Police Intelligence and the Sector Response Unit. The suspect admitted to being the one who pulled the trigger. At around 2 p.m. today, the murder weapon was recovered. He was found in possession of a homemade pistol and was detained along with the married couple who were harboring him. A report conducted by a civil society organization on Manam Island's displaced persons has revealed the islanders would be affected if the El Nino hits PNG. The report, called the Rapid Rural Appraisal, was based on water, health and education needs by Salvation with Faith and Love Foundation. The report was done at the request of the Madang Provincial Administration in May this year.
The report into the internally displaced persons or IDPs of Manam had begun during the volcanic eruption.
We were asked by the Madang Provincial Administration to assist with relief supplies. And in June, after a conference on climate change in Port Moresby, we were also instructed by the Madang Provincial Administration to go in and assess water needs on Boisa Island, as well as those other villages that still remain on Manam, particularly Baliao and Dugalaba. On top of that, they also included that we should look at the health, hygiene and sanitation status and the education needs of the all care centers, including those on the mainland.
Access to clean and safe water is a constant struggle for these people at the care centers and the islanders still living on Manam Island. The main source of water is from dugout wells, which have been used for over a decade now.
And we believe that that could deplete if the El Nino does hit Papua New Guinea. And in all care centers, main water source is from wells. And a lot of them have been used for the last 10 years, 13 years. Those along the beach have been found to sort of like vary with the tide. So like when there is low tide, sometimes it's like all dried up. And if it's high tide, it comes up, but it's open and it is not very safe for many. Water pumps that have been installed in 2005 and 2006, most of them have ceased because of lack of maintenance.
The first part of the report was submitted to the provincial administrator Daniel Aloy earlier this month, but pending a response. The SFLF is now calling on the provincial administration to act quickly on the water needs of the people before the El Nino hits the island. The Executive Director Leslie Salum says the next phase is to formulate a project document to seek funding and implement the recommendations. However, with the early warnings given by the National Disaster Center for an imminent El Nino, these recommendations for alternate water sources and water supply systems be taken seriously.
And water needs to be addressed very quickly.
Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Madang.
It's been 16 years since the signing of an important blueprint document that put an end to the Bougainville Island Civil War. The Bougainville Peace Agreement paved the way for lasting peace on the war-torn island of Bougainville following the post-conflict which erupted from disputes over the Panguna mine. Fabian Hakelets takes a look back on this occasion and brings us this special report.
On August 30, 2001, the Bougainville Peace Agreement was signed in Arawa, central Bougainville. Peace by peaceful means, a joint agreement between the government of the independent state of Papua New Guinea and the autonomous Bougainville government. It was intended to further the objectives of the Burnham Truce, Lincoln and ceasefire agreements, and other agreements and understanding between both parties. It was aimed to be implemented through consultation and cooperation. 3 pillars of autonomy, referendum and weapons disposal were set as guidelines for the referendum, which is to be staged in 2019. Several government delegations from mainland Papua New Guinea visited Bougainville to restore the government's trust and confidence to the people. Among them was Papua New Guinea's former Prime Minister, Bill Skate, who went to simply request hardliners and warlords to surrender their weapons. And that was documented in the ceasefire agreement. Women were at the forefront negotiating for peace. The peace monitoring group comprising of Australia, New Zealand, Vanuatu and Fiji were deployed into Bougainville in 1998 and monitored the peace agreement, reported on ceasefire violations and supported the peace process, and were also involved in the weapons disposal programs. They officially withdrew their mission in 2000 in a ceremony at the Independence Oval in Arawa.
And to our friends from the Pacific in PNG, we wish them all the best. Have a good break. We are proud that we got wonderful ambassadors outside.
The signing of the Bougainville Peace Agreement in 2001 allowed for the establishment of the autonomous Bougainville government in 2005, with Joseph Kabui elected as the first president of the autonomous region of Bougainville.
Today is a proud moment. Today, every day, Bougainville can really and truly say on same yes, we do have a government now.
It was a win-win solution, and since 2005, the full implementation of the peace accord has never been realized. One of the major issues was with grants owed by the national government to Bougainville. Chief John Momis, since elected as president in 2010, has been very vocal on matters concerning Bougainville, especially development grants.
That the national government doesn't seem to respect the Bougainville Peace Agreement, which stipulates that until Bougainville reaches fiscal self-reliance, the national government is bound under the Constitution to provide the funds.
In 2014, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill paid a goodwill visit to the autonomous region of Bougainville.
Especially this Pala government, by work close to the true one and President Bloyume, located up in big blood centers inside La Bougainville.
But the Joint Supervisory Body meeting is another aspect that gives value to the Bougainville Peace Agreement. Since May last year, there has been no meeting. The new Bougainville Affairs Minister and Central Bougainville MP, Father Simon Dumarino, says the JSB meeting will be a priority and should be the first agenda as the deadline looms.
I think this is the intention and issue is in our hands. So we will continue, because these are the decision makers to drive us to translate what is need to be translated in their discussion and in their meetings.
Meanwhile, President Momis reminded Bougainvillians that the signing of this important blueprint document paved the way for lasting peace on the island. Fabian Haklitz, National EMTV News.
Among stories after the break, GPS tracking devices for government vehicles, seasonal workers set for a stint down south, and Bukbilong Pikinini prepares for Literacy Week. Stay with us for details. Welcome back. Lay MP John Rosso says the government vehicles bought through the DSIP and PSIP funds are often misused. All government vehicles in Lay District will now have the GPS tracking devices installed on them to monitor their movements. The member for Lay told EMTV today that the tracking device should stop misuse of the vehicles.
The member for Lay says the vehicles bought through the PSIP and DSIP funds should be managed properly. There were reports on the misuse of the vehicles by the public sectors in the city. Rosso says all government vehicles in the district will be installed with GPS tracking devices to monitor the movements of the vehicles.
I've talked to the Metropolitan Commander, he's agreed. All the Lay District vehicles will be GPS. Every single police car in Lay City, any government vehicle in Lay City, I'll be pushing for it all to be GPS so that we ensure that all vehicles are accounted for and that they are rightfully doing work for the government and not misusing or abusing the privileges.
Lay District will also be working closely with the Lay Chamber of Commerce and other business houses to develop the city. Despite having funding problems, construction is underway for Engau General Hospital. The development is funded by the Australian government to a cost of 200,000 Australian dollars.
That is a big development for Lay and much needed to alleviate the health situation in Lay. I'd like to say a big thank you to the Australian government on this, and I thank you to the Planning Minister and the Health Minister for coming to Lay and giving us good news.
Another development in Lay that would start next year is the upgrade of Nadzap Airport, funded by the Japanese government to a cost of 800 million kina. The upgrade and reconstruction of the airport was part of the previous government's development plan.
I've had some talks with JICA and they're well ahead, and construction is possibly expected to start in May next year. So after waiting all these years, the people of Lay will get what they rightfully deserve. And another huge thank you from me and the people of Lay to the Japanese government for this very generous donation.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Lay.
The timber industry in the country has potential but still needs to be developed to produce durable timber products. This was stated at the midterm review of the Development of Durable Engineered Wood Products project, which aims to improve the timber industry. The project is funded and facilitated by the Australian Centre for International Agricultural Research and Innovative Wood-Based Products. Members of the team are currently meeting in Lay to review the project.
Members of the ACER and Innovative Wood-Based Products project met today to discuss the progress of the joint project in improving forest management and timber manufacturing in PNG.
The meeting gives us an opportunity to discuss all those findings and then to decide should we alter some activities in the project.
PNG has a large number of high-value tropical timber.
One of the things that these projects are doing is to try to understand the properties of the most important timber species in Papua New Guinea.
Identifying timber properties will assist in creating quality timber products for the market.
There are increasing demands for high-value forest products.
According to IWBP project manager, PNG has great potential in providing better timber products.
So I think there is a good challenge for PNG to combine and take the most of that sustainably and to deliver unique product. Unique. You can't find the same quality of timber in Europe.
Like any other business, the timber market in PNG also has its constraints.
many constraints, particular problem with legality of timber and certification, but I know that Papua New Guinea is trying to address this.
The ASAP project has been progressing and more studies are being done to improve PNG's existing timber industry.
Overall, the ACR forestry projects implemented in Papua New Guinea are actually achieve a lot of very good results.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
More than 100 partners and stakeholders recently gathered in Jakarta, Indonesia, for a forum on empowering, strengthening and promoting good practices for sustainable development. The forum, organized by the International Fund for Agriculture Development, or IFAD, saw Pacific Islands and Southeast Asian countries gather to discuss effective ways in developing an innovative agriculture sector in the region. Discussions were also tabled around transforming rural areas into vibrant economic and social centers. IFAD Vice President Parensain Age stressed the need to change mindsets in order to change practices in developing the agriculture sector. He further urged all nations within the region to share knowledge and resources. PNG was represented by PPAP Coffee Project Manager Potaisa Hombunaka and DAL Secretary Dr. Vele Pet Ilava. Oktedi Mining Limited recently announced the appointment of 3 female employees to managerial roles. Hilary Tunamur, Beverly Parson and Chantel Christensen were appointed managers of Kyunga Operations, ICT and Contracts and Compliance. OTML Managing Director and CEO Peter Graham said it is pleasing to see female employees progressing into managerial roles based on merit. Mr. Graham recognized OTML's Women's Network, where the company identified development pathways to encourage, mentor and train its female employees. He said the company hopes to see more women in management and in non-traditional mining roles in the future. One organization that's promoting Literacy Week is Bougainville Peace. This year's theme for Literacy Week is Reading. It makes a world of difference. Bougainville Peace has a week-long program starting next Monday. Their focus this year is on children having access to countries and cultures simply through reading.
This year's Literacy Week is jam-packed with activities that will run throughout the week leading up to the International Literacy Day, which falls on September 8. Celebrations will commence next Monday, where children from the Bougainville Peace Literacy Program will begin learning about other countries and their cultures and will have a showcase on Friday. Activities during the week will also include a donor thank you at UPNG with the SB Hunters, meet the author event with the author of Owa the Grasshopper and Kaipa the Caterpillar, and a joint declaration with the PNG National Library. The declaration will be the announcement of the two organizations' intentions to partner and highlight the importance of public libraries. The week-long program has been sponsored by ExxonMobil, who have also supported Bougainville Peace with a television commercial in partnership with the SB Hunters. Bougainville Peace has been highlighting the importance of literacy for children to learn to read and write at an early age to develop their literacy skills. Bougainville Peace has 17 libraries around the country, giving children accessibility to libraries in rural places. Merlin Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3135 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.306 $0.3805 Australian dollars, $0.2515 euro and 33.17 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee and cocoa closed lower, while copper closed the day unchanged. Copper closed higher, palm oil and crude oil closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 56.97 points higher, the ASX closed at 1.39 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 1.38 points higher. Students in Lae raised concerns on sponsorship fees and NRI's domestic violence policy. Those stories when we come back. Welcome back to the news. Morobe students sponsored under the Morobe Provincial Government's Gershon Solulu Scholarship for Tertiary Institutions raised concerns today over the delayed payment of fees. This comes after students received letters from respective institutions instructing them to pay up or leave.
Morobe students who were sponsored under the Gershon Solulu Scholarship are concerned over the delayed payments of their second semester fees. Today, students showed up at the provincial headquarters to query the administration on the delay.
Purpose below sumatin kampung now and delay the second batch payment below scholarship.
Some of these students have already received letters from their schools requesting that they pay up or move out. Their greatest concern is to complete the academic year.
Vacating campus. So, I'm big problem now, issue.
Every year, delays are faced with the scholarship issues. The students are now asking the administration to address this before they are asked to leave school.
But all that need to clarify, talk sumatin, now parents delay.
The Deputy Administrator Social Sector, Robin Bazinuk, advised that he will respond to queries tomorrow. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
The approaches taken by schools and authorities to end school fights in Leh City has not helped in stopping the fights. The member for Leh, John Rosso, says he will visit schools in Leh with the assistance of relevant authorities to know the cause of the problem. Rosso said this on Monday after congratulating Malahang Technical High School students for being disciplined and not taking part in school fights.
The school fights in Leh City is one of the many problems Leh has faced over the years. The problem has been addressed, but school fights still continue. The member for Leh, John Rosso, who was present at a celebration at Malahang Technical High School, said he would visit schools in Leh to identify the problem.
I'm going to sit down with the relevant authorities, the police, the schools. I'm going to try to visit all the schools and try to see and get to the root of the problem.
Rosso commended Malahang Technical School for their discipline and for not taking part in school fights. He said parents should take control of their children and know their whereabouts. The member for Leh also warned the students to refrain from taking part in crimes.
It's a lot of hard work and making the right choices. Too many times we blame other people, we blame the government, we blame everyone for our problems. It's about time we blamed ourselves and try to do the right thing. Work hard, keep away from crime, those sort of things. If it all boils down to the individual, the choices you make determine your future tomorrow.
Students are killed amid school fights, while others are badly injured. The fight between the secondary schools in Leh has always been a concern. The member for Leh said concerns arising in the city are everyone's problems that needs collaboration from the public and higher authorities to sort out the issues.
Leh is a complexity of problems. It's inherent over the last 25-30 years. One person cannot fix this problem. Everyone blames the government. Everyone says politicians will fix it. One person cannot fix it. We need 20 years of good hard work, tightening our belts. Everyone, from the parents, the students, people on the streets, the workers, the relevant church agencies. If you may all change the attitude, you may all stop throwing my people on the road. If we all stop getting into trouble, if we stop drinking on the road, you may change ethics, attitude, Leh will become a better place.
Julie Padui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
The Seasonal Workers Association has registered 200 members and are gearing up to send the first batch of workers to Australia in September. The association was launched in June this year, and President Lucy Singh says they have already made contact with the Australian government and hope to send the first batch under the seasonal workers visa. The members are mostly women who are in the informal sector.
The seasonal workers visa to Australia and New Zealand has not been used to its full potential in recent years due to the hosting countries not having confidence with workers who apply. But the Seasonal Workers Association is hoping to bring the confidence back and have already made contact with the Australian government to send workers through the Seasonal Workers Visa program.
My association, like PNG Seasonal Workers, has a contact in Australia, Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Darwin, and even the Canberra office too. They are backing us up. Prepare for the graduation. We have already sent an email. And the Canberra office is alert of this PNG Seasonal Workers Association. What is going on in this country?
President of the Seasonal Workers Association, Lucy Singhi, wants to empower the informal sector, especially women.
The PNG Seasonal Workers to make them work in the farm and bring the money back to Papua New Guinea and set themselves. Like the mothers, they have saw 5 kids, 4 kids, the husband left them, and then they're really paying the price to pay the school fee, and they're really struggling to sell whatever they sell on the streets.
The association has started from scratch but now has an office at Morata manned by 3 staff.
But I'm just assisting them with logistics in the office, like doing passports, profiles for each of the members here, registering, writing to the correspondents with their partners in Australia and also in Papua New Guinea.
Pastor Metita Mzian registered in the hope to work and return to further pursue her pastor's duties in extending the kingdom of God.
Because we pastors need a lot of work to do here in this country, so we need like funds to extend the kingdom of God here in this nation.
The first batch is expected to go in September to work on farms in Australia, but funding is something association hopes the government will help to allow the association to send seasonal workers in the thousands.
We want the Prime Minister of the day, Mr. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, to boost this PNG seasonal workers. We are calling on Mr. Paul Spago.
Adelaide.
The National Research Institute is taking a holistic approach in addressing domestic violence in the workplace through the launch of their new policy. The policy emphasizes on zero tolerance of all forms of domestic violence in the campus. NRI Acting Director Dr. Osborne Sanida said the launch is not a one-off event, but a starting point that requires dedication, commitment and perseverance.
PNG's leading policy think tank has launched a domestic violence policy that aims to bring out the core message that domestic violence is everybody's business. NRI's acting director, Dr. Osborne Sanida, said this year 11 staff members have been directly affected by domestic violence. This has prompted the NRI to act decisively and address the issue. The NRI felt intervention needed to be done to improve the well-being of staff members. The launch of the policy is a step forward in their code of conduct and employment contracts.
Yeah, the most important one that we want to put out is that there is a serious consequences of domestic violence, and that is the termination of staff. And if you are found to be guilty or to be convicted of domestic violence offense, then you will be facing termination from your employment. But also the spouses, you will be banned from entering the campus. That's one of the things that are captured under addressing domestic violence on campus. We also capture the reporting and intervention obligation, and this emphasizes again on everyone's business.
Part of the policy is to raise awareness and host education workshops, not only for staff but for family members as well.
We also capture the tenancy agreement form. So when a staff wanted to take up housing here, we also reference the domestic violence policy in that particular agreement. Also, we want to provide support services, and one is to have 2 nominated staff in terms of providing advice or counseling.
Many Papua New Guineans affected by domestic violence suffer in silence, while some, in extreme cases, lose their lives. Merlin Diakotam, National, EMTV News.
Trukai Sports is next. More on the SB Hunters as they reach the finals of Intrust Super Cup. Details after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. PNGRL has confirmed that the SB Hunters semi-final match will be televised. Last week, QRL said the Hunters were denied a televised match for Week 2 of the Interest Super Cup finals after the cost proved too much for the club.
Channel 9 has been given the rights to broadcast the finals of the Queensland Interest Super Cup. And because the Hunters play their semi-final match here at the National Football Stadium next weekend, PNGRL would have to financially cater for Channel 9's production crew to travel up to Port Moresby. This would be a very costly exercise for PNGRL, with the total costing reaching up to almost 500,000 kina.
And that's quite a lot of money, and we'd like the money to be used for our hunters in the games out here. So it's quite a huge amount of money.
Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League has negotiated with Channel 9, which will see PNG's local television station carry on their broadcast.
To run with the game out here, and one of the conditions of running a finals is that Channel 9 has to broadcast it. And the broadcast must go to the Queensland viewers. It comes with a cost, but we're able to negotiate that, and they're fine. With that, they're able to broadcast the second game, that's Queensland-based game, to the Queensland viewers, and Papua New Guinea game to our Papua New Guinea viewers. So
the match will be played next week Sunday at the National Football Stadium, with the Hunters to take on the Redcliffe Dolphins. If the Hunters win the match, they proceed straight to the grand final. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
Parramatta winger Semi Radradra has ruled himself out of playing in the 2017 Rugby League World Cup for Fiji Bati as he eyes a move to French Rugby Union at the end of the season. Radradra confirmed he would miss the World Cup to focus on the transition with his young family as he prepares to link up with Toulon in 2018. The 25-year-old made his debut for Australia last season and has represented Fiji on 4 occasions. He is motivated to finishing the season strong and preferably with a grand final victory with the Eels. The PNG Football Association is embarking on strategies to improve football in the country. In an interview with EMTV Sports, PNGFA General Secretary Dimirit Milang says the growth of football in the country remains the priority.
The Papua New Guinea Football Association has in recent months been bogged down by a series of events that made the job of managing the sport more challenging.
The difficulties were not just caused by the clubs, but the community in itself. NSL has also had problems with its sponsorship because the community at large felt that they don't want to support, feeling that maybe this is not the right group, maybe this is not the right group.
While the saga over last December's General Congress brought with it unwanted attention to the organization, General Secretary Dimirit Milang believes the association is now making strides for further improvement of football.
You get your high moments and you get your low moments, and if you never get shot down, then you'll not know how to climb back again. So I'm sure the board is working very hard to get the competition back up again, and we're looking forward to a good season next year.
Plans are in place for the expansion of football across the country, and this is the focus that Milang believes will be beneficial for the code in the long run. With the conclusion of the National Soccer League 2 weeks ago, the next project on the cards for PNGFA is the Besta Cup, the inter-association competition that pits all the association members against each other. Following that, the nation's biggest event, the PNG Games, is scheduled for November.
We are assisting, and we would like to make sure that the event meets a minimum requirement of football, so people enjoy the game and also show the potential. So,
all in all, the belief is that with the support from various stakeholders across the country, that football will continue to grow in Papua New Guinea. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. A town in North Wales was the host for the Bog Snorkeling World Championships on Sunday, where there were dramatic scenes in chilly conditions. This year's swim was the 32nd annual event, which first began after locals in the 1980s came up with an unusual way to fundraise for charity.
The weather was largely overcast, but there were moments of sunshine for the contestants to enjoy as they made their way back and forth along the weed-filled bog. Competitors are required to swim 2 lengths of a 60-yard or 55-meter trench, with many choosing to swim in quirky outfits. The winner of this year's event was a 33-year-old teacher from Swindon, UK, Neil Rutter, who took the men's competition in just under a minute and a half with a time of 1 minute and 26 seconds.
Of my being. Literally all my life I've been building for this. Everything I thought was a success previously just pales into insignificance. It's the ultimate. I don't know where to begin. I'm just welling up.
The fastest female was Jess Fiddler, who won in a time of 1 minute and 41 seconds. Competitors from as far and wide as Australia took part in the race, and some of this year's quirkiest outfits saw people dressed up with inflatable rubber ducks attached to their backs.
Here we go.
Another competitor swam after her 21st birthday cake, which was dragged along the water by a fishing line, and another even swam alongside their pet dog.
Well, he's quite good at this because it's doggy paddle all the way, isn't it? But I could see that he was living it, and he was in front of me lots of the time anyway.
This year's swimmers were some way off the all-time record set in 2014 by Kirsty Johnson, who finished their 2 lengths in 1 minute and 22 seconds. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
To boxing, following last weekend's defeat of Conor McGregor by Floyd Mayweather in the most hyped fight of the decade, the boxing world now turns to the showdown between unbeaten middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin and Saul Alvarez.
Kazakhstan's Gennady Golovkin will carry a 37-0 record, including 33 knockouts, and his WBC, WBA, IBF and IBO championship belts into the September 16 fight in Las Vegas. Golovkin and Alvarez, the red-haired darling of boxing-crazed Mexico, with a 49-1-1 record and 34 knockouts, took part on Monday in Los Angeles area promotional workout. Knockout artist Golovkin has been so efficient in the ring over the last few years that he has had a hard time getting top fight opponents to agree to fight him, including Alvarez. The 26-year-old Alvarez will be going against the 35-year-old Golovkin, who was paused to 12 rounds for the first time in his previous bout against Danny Jacobs. Canelo began boxing professionally at 139 pounds, age 15, before moving up through the weight classes, holding world middleweight and super welterweight titles. The only blemish on the Mexican's record is a 2013 title fight defeat to Mayweather via a 12-round decision. Shane Soroya, National EMTV Sports.
And that's it for True Kai Sports. Weather forecast for the next 24 hours when we return.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight: in the southern region, mostly fine, although cloudy and windy in Port Moresby, cloudy and windy in Daru, cloudy with a chance of few showers in Kerma, mostly fine, although windy in Alotau, and mostly fine, although partly cloudy in Popondetta. In the Momasi region, cloudy with light rain drizzle and lay, mostly fine, although partly cloudy in Medeng, mostly fine and sunny in Wewak, and thundery showers in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, partly cloudy in Lorengau, cloudy with some showers in Kavieng, mostly fine, although cloudy in Kokopo and Rabaul, fine, although partly cloudy in Kimbe, and thundery showers in Buka. And in the Highlands region, morning fog clearing into rain drizzle, then cloudy in all centres.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield, with doing with Dulux.
And before we go, a quick look at our stories making headlines. Committee set up to resolve all outstanding SABL issues. Tribesmen of slain corps cut off Highlands Highway traffic, and 16 years on, remembering the Bougainville Peace Agreement. And that's news, sports and weather this Wednesday, the 30th of August 2017. From the entire news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.